Good morning, everyone. So, I just woke up, but I want to talk about today's video, which is how some of the worst moments of my life shaped me to become the best version of who I am today. But in order to do that, I want to take you on a road trip to where I was 9 months ago at my lowest. So, let's go on a road trip to San Diego, California. Okay, so I packed my duffel of a bunch of camera stuff and some swimming stuff and some surfing stuff because we're gonna head to the beach. So you've started to develop this habit of when I have something that I'm scared of, a lot of times it's associated with a place or a location or a name, and I conquer that fear by going to that place, by facing the difficult emotions that come with it. And that's why we're going to go to this really special place in San Diego that brings up a lot for me. But first, we're going to start off driving from LA to San Diego and stop somewhere in Orange County. And I want to show you my journey. I am going to the pier in San Clemente in Orange County. Why? Because it is the place where I had one of my biggest heartbreaks, one of the worst moments of my life. But it defined me, and I wouldn't be who I am without it. A few years ago, right after college graduation, I fell in love with this guy. I had really big dreams, like I wanted to move to New York or London, but I fell in love, and honestly, I kind of lost myself. For a while, I was happy. He had this cute little orange apartment by the ocean in this town, and we talked about moving in together and marriage, and we would watch the sunset at this very beach. He was my last young love, my last free-spirited summer, but then things got incredibly toxic. We started to hurt each other, both intentionally and unintentionally. I lost all ambition and happiness, really. I guess going to the places that remind me of my worst pain and standing up to my own fear of a place, it makes me feel empowered. And being in this whole town, it hurts because it reminds me of things I'd rather forget. At the end of our relationship, he violated me in one of the worst ways possible. And I think I'm still recovering. And just like that, 2 years of my life was gone. And I gained a bunch of relationship trauma and trust issues. My therapist, she keeps telling me this one phrase that always sticks. Don't judge the moment. That relationship felt like a waste of time, and it did take forever to heal, but with every breakdown comes a breakthrough. And after that relationship, I delved into the creative world. I did this personal project in Portland where I documented youth culture in the city. I even made a magazine. It was just for me, but I did it. I started working at this job that I really, really loved, and though I got laid off, I learned invaluable lessons. I realized how bad my mental health really was, and it also helped me understand one of my greatest struggles. I was terrified of being alone, and I stayed in a terrible relationship because of that. The next couple years, I promised myself I would stay single and learn to love myself again. It was a small spark that led to this huge healing journey I went on, and this journey has been magical. A lot of times we can't help or prevent the pain that we experience or that is inflicted upon us. But we can choose how to transform that pain. And as much as it hurts, it is also something that can completely change the course of your life. And that was one of the worst moments of my life. But it changed me for the better in the end. So the next place that I want to go is in San Diego, or the edge of San Diego, my hometown, in this beach city called Oceanside. More specifically, the pier in Oceanside, California. I struggle a lot with strongly associating places with people and memories and avoiding them if it's too hard. And honestly, I haven't been to Oceanside since Christmas. And I am both nervous and excited. I truly believe that there's this power in visiting places that remind you of difficult memories or moments, and that by facing it, instead of avoiding a place, you take back the power, and that some memories can hold over you. Not always, but sometimes. It doesn't seem like much during the day. It's your average beach town, palm trees and blue skies. This place feels like a second home. But 9 months ago, I was so depressed that I nearly ended my life here. It was at this parking lot by the beach that I called the suicide hotline. I was on hold for nearly an hour. Honestly, it was comical for how long I was waiting. It was a storm on Christmas, and I decided to surf just to feel something. The sun was nearly setting, and I could hear the thunder, but I already felt like I was drowning in my own emotions, that I couldn't breathe. It's hard. It's really hard to remember these moments. This intense slow, the dingy little parking lot that holds way too many emotions, and seeing the peaceful waves that were so different than last year. But that moment in my life, 9 months ago, it transformed me into who I truly wanted to be. Look, I'm not saying that you have to reach this intensive low to become the best version of yourself. And honestly, I don't wish this kind of pain on anyone. But I think we all have these moments. You know, those moments that awaken something inside of you. And when I reached my lowest point here in this random parking lot by the beach, I realized that I had fallen so far down the rabbit hole. And I had two choices. And if I were to choose to live, then I would live. That I would save my own life, because I realized for years I was barely living. I also realized that there are a million ways to die while you're still breathing, if that makes sense at all. But that's the thing. I wasn't truly awake. I was sleepwalking for so much of my existence on this earth. And you know, I look at the beach and I see these little things. I feel the sand between my toes. I see these strangers living their own beautiful little storylines, and I get to be the minor character in their lives for just a moment on this beach. I see the waves tiptoe on the shoreline, and there's just something so magical about it. After that night, I made it a point to proactively change my life. And one of the big ways was to face all the things that I was scared of. After years of bad relationships and trauma and depression, I had become scared of the world. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is no way to live life. So I decided to slowly change the way that I lived. A month later, I joined TikTok because mainly I was scared to post TikToks and I wanted to face that fear. I started recording these daily journeys, my mental health struggles and challenges. I started with this series called 21 Days of Conquering My Fears, and like 4 days into it, I came out to my parents as bi. 3 months later, I went viral on TikTok, gaining 100,000 followers. In June, I went skydiving. In August, I got featured in the New York Times. In September, I decided to move to New York City, and today, I have conquered nearly 100 of some of my biggest fears. My therapist always tells me, don't judge the moment, because a moment that may seem so hopeless may be the key that unlocks the very life that you strive to live. Who knows? You know?